Recently, I've had it suggested that I'm just a troll because occasionally I tell a joke here or there. I either have to be completely serious or completely satirical. Before we get going, I saw something that caught my eye 3 weeks ago, and I just had to share my dementia with all of you.
I cannot, surely, be the only one who finds working with an actual giant spider far more fascinating than working with a spider who's assumed the form of a factory-standard dark, sexy lady. It hammers home the idea that woman characters can't be interesting unless they're attractive to the audience, and I think that's a shame because, to take a stand for equality here, women can be 8-legged, slobbering, unrepentantly evil arachnids too.
Oh, come on. Was I the only one when I heard boring, beautiful, dark-haired lady? My mind went right to Peet. What started off as an interesting design choice, slowly taking a bold Equestria Girls lean that most people wielded out a handful of times in the hopes to never have to use it again, has become more generic. It's become AAA generic. So, out of the goodness and kindness of my heart, I had a lovely picture commissioned from Emptybrook. From the commentary community, Jim Sterling prefers spiders, so being a Jim Sterling fanboy, he's getting spiders. Also, because this is a 2-part episode, this is from Androgynous Garbage. They are transgender. They drew this pic. We here, at Limbo, look forward to poor Kenny being called a Nazi. Now we can begin. So, in my favorite game right now, I saw something familiar. Bare basics, there's a faction system where you kill dudes in the game Grim Dawn. Those dudes are generally whatever that faction is being screwed with or hates or whatever. And the payoff for this is that the faction that you kill people for will sell you better crap or give you more missions. So in turn you can kill more dudes. This probably isn't the best example when I'm trying to prove I'm not a Nazi, but bear with me. You have cultists. Think Cthulhu, necromancers, your zealots. There are going to be those of you guys who will think, this is going to be my example, the angsty edgelords versus the religious holy rollers. Without getting too specific for spoiler's sake, if you're playing this game, you'll start to notice, if you side with either the zealots or the necromancers, that there's some startling similarities. And there's things that both sides do that isn't exactly comforting. If you were in the comments of How Not to Brony 49, and for everyone who bitched in that comment section, i.e. not everyone, a lot of you guys are cool, How Not to Brony 49 Fanon Frenzy, I talked about Lily Peet for about 2 minutes and 9 seconds of a 19-minute video. And if you paid attention, about 1/4 of that mentions Lily. And for that, I got 339 comments, which blew out that comment section in about a day. It surpassed the Sapphire Heartsong drama. One day. Again, for any of my friends or fans who felt that that comment section was too much, I mean, go look at the Medicare video I did. I have Chris Raygun and Shoe on Head bad-mouthing me. Here, I have a sea of nobodies bitching at me. That somehow, nice job on the video was a bridge too far. In the context between Peet and myself, if this video was going to be an exhaustive look at Peet's work till now, I'd probably have to go with the narrative of we're not too different, if we're taking the averages. Peet took one example from my videos, let's say he looked at about 40 of them, 40 of which comments that had nothing to do with Peet, which makes you wonder, when Peet has said, I've talked extensively about Peet, you think that there would have been at least one single solitary comment Peet could have refuted aimed at Peet. He went full-blown Jeff here. Take, for example, acknowledging the same-day video on Peet's KP video, How Not to Brony 38. This is 42 minutes. I understand doing a response to a 42-minute video would be a massive pain in the ass. I agree. And an innovative soul could have found a workaround. Here, let's steal something from Josh's toolbox. Top 10 bullshit things from How Not to Brony 38. Still too much? Top 5 things. See, the real example of Peet and Grim Dawn is this one faction. It's called the Outcast. Before we get going, I want to point out that I actually like the Outcast. It's schlocky bullcrap. It sort of reminds me of Movie Bob's series called Schlocktober that he puts on every year, and Bug Spray has been something to help tide me over till we get there. The Outcast, when you first run into her, is this witch who's about to be burnt at the stake by these 3 country bumpkins. You can choose to walk away, help them burn her, or save her. I always save the Outcast because I couldn't imagine those 3 hillbillies would have anything good to give me for helping them out. And what's more, how much effort do you need to burn a girl who's already tied up? I want to be completely clear. I don't let the Outcast go on moral grounds. I assume doing so would give me a magical item, a quest, or a buff. In the last act of the game, you run into the Outcast via another faction called the Black Legion. If you're familiar with Warhammer 40k, think the Imperium of Man, the Space Marines more or less. While some factions hate the Necromancers, or some hate the Religious Zealots, or some hate the Undead or the Cultists, the only thing the Black Legion hates is the Outcast. This, in part, is because the Black Legion, minus its commander, thinks that she works for the Ethereal Menace. Your 2 options are to either kill the Outcast, which will give you a pitiful faction boost to impress the Black Legion, which you can in turn reset the game, run a dungeon that is swarmed with Ethereals, which don't raise your faction points for the Black Legion, and get the exact same pitiful XP boost for killing the witch at the end. Wait, it gets better. If you spare the Outcast, she has 2 enemy factions that she wants you to kill, the Ethereals and the Cthulhu Nutjobs. There's no alignment or morality bar in Grim Dawn. There is no penalizing or finger-wagging for doing things either way, other than the head commander from the Black Legion so much as goes bad boy at you. This is poor design, not unlike Bug Spray. Peet would have you believe, like the Outcast, under this edgy exterior beats the heart of gold. And in the Lily Peet version of the Brony analysis community, we are the Black Legion, who has set Lily Peet off in a jail cell to be XP mined over and over again by a bunch of boys from Wimbo. Or perhaps I've built up my faction rep with a ragtag batch of shitlords that include Toon Critic, Lightning Bliss, and Josh Scorcher. If that sounds insane, wait, it gets better. Lily Peet also wants you to believe minorities can be Nazis. This is a picture taken from the movie The Spirit. Yes, this is Samuel Jackson in a Nazi uniform. Yes, this happened in reasonable proximity to when he was doing films like Snakes on a Plane. I'm often fond of saying if you're talented enough, you can do anything and everything. Lily, you are not talented enough to convince people that minorities, which I am one of and so is Brony Buck, can be Nazis. Half of my descent is Mexican. Brony has a descent from Black and Japanese roots. No matter how many times that you put up Richard Spencer when talking about me, Richard Spencer would not talk to me. I would in fact not be invited to bowling night on Tuesdays with those kind of people. There's a video by Rucka Rucka Ali where there is this one white Tumblr kid screaming at minorities, and I thought it was a very funny meme, but no one was really that dumb. I stand corrected. As for How Not to Brony 49, look, if I buried that remark in regards to Peet at the tail of the video, I'd totally understand the Tism storm in the comments section. I put it up front because it was a last-minute add-in. It took me enough time to watch the video and give a knee-jerk response. Speaking of which, I want to show this comment here. This is from Alice Jingles. You can naturally read this, but I'll abridge it. Basically, I was told I was compensating for something, and I didn't deserve my audience, and I pointed out Dog Eye Crimson, the person who drew this gift for me, is a female-to-male transgender. And Alice turned around and said she got hacked. This made my day. In all of my years on YouTube, I have never heard this happening even once. Can we make this the new meme? From now on, when you're getting attacked and you get your ass kicked in the comment section, I'm sorry, I got hacked. Alice, I'm not mad. You've brought happiness to this dead cold heart. Godspeed. The only bummer of How Not to Brony 49, I think, the draw, was the comment section. I think it was the first time Lily Peet's fans had to go out and mingle en masse. And it's also part of the learning process, guys. So let's get to it. Oh, and one more thing, Lily. Brittney says hi. Some of you guys are new to the scene. There is this one bright, sweet Gabby girl who found me. She's an old, near and dear friend to Lily from way back. I'm talking pre-Josh Scorcher days. I'm talking when Lily Peet was doing her zero punctuation bit. That was a long time ago. We had a discussion, don't you know? And that discussion is going to be at the end of this video. Now, naturally, I wasn't there back in the day, Lily. So, if you would like to clarify anything that Brittney says about you, my house is always open. So once more, let's get to that beautiful bean footage, shall we? Skipping the intro.
Skipping the intro?
I die a little inside every time I hear that.
A little while ago, I was playing an old copy of Medal of Honor Airborne, and there was one noticeable flaw with the way it was designed. The best gun in the game is stolen from the Germans in the first mission and used from every mission after if you have any sense. And that spoke to me and how the best way to kill an insect was to take its weapon and turn it on them. So why don't you join me as I give you a comprehensive analysis of For No Good Reason and the deluded, psychotic meltdown he had over several years, attacking anybody and everybody because he wasn't getting the attention he believed he deserved, and how the rest of the community he claimed to be a part of did nothing.
Everyone and anyone. If I remember correctly, I politely correct Anthony C. when he focused on the wrong issue in the video. And because Anthony C. isn't a paranoid loon, he came forward like a boss and had a conversation with myself, Toon Critic, Maid, Event Horizon, and British Ninja. The narrative that I'm jealous of everyone can't hold water because I literally put over DWK to literally everyone. I did so in Lily Peet's Discord server before she promptly removed the message. I declined a gift-wrapped opportunity by Lightning Bliss to do a commentary on her because her interests and tastes are so vastly different from mine, and I feel fundamentally her work holds its own. I do have some thoughts on Stomp the Ground. It's just some random musings, I'll save that for another video. Silver Quill is a very talented man. I think the plushie thing is mind-numbingly painful. And he did take $450 off a guy who used to pay me to hit Lily. If I've ever hit Tricky in general, it's been in jest. I do make fun of him in Skype calls, cause I'm me and Tricky isn't a snowflake. We can all count all the things I don't address about Fallen Wish, which would make up about 3 of these shows, which I do understand that there's an audience for. But I, unlike you, found it's not a good idea to piss people off who have equal parts of dirt on you. But we'll get to Brittney later. What's Lily Peet mean by everyone and anyone? The select small people that Lily Peet likes. I could argue my complaints about Josh Scorcher have easily been ripped off. I could argue Pete's complaints about Josh Scorcher have been easily ripped off by my videos, which I made them first. Not to mention I highly find it hard to believe that Lily Peet even knows a tenth of the field to even come close to say what everyone and anyone knows. Hell, she didn't even know who DWK was, despite DWK's views beating I Love Kim Possible a lot these days.
I think I need to introduce you to Anthony Aguilar, but just in case this is your first episode of the series, let me briefly summarize. Anthony Aguilar is a member of the Brony analysis community who spends a great deal of time passive-aggressively sniping at everyone around him, playing up arguments among other content creators as big controversial wars, and picking individual targets out of a large pool of analysts to chase after and hound endlessly. He loves to jump onto any rumor that happens in the Brony community and play it up for attention and easy clicks, simultaneously condemning the people who spawn rumors and taking their words as gospel. He was among one of the many people pushing the false story about KP being a slave driver and has spent the last year and a half of his life producing a web series where he reads off what I can only assume are the emails in his sent folder.
I never emailed the Brony Notion or Josh Scorcher. By the way, Lily, thank you. You got my name right. As for passive-aggressive, I'll have you know that I aggressively snipe at least half of these.
Sir, you're not helping yourself.
As for the story on KP, Lily's source is someone that she doesn't respect or trust.
Do this? Hard to say. Because Aguilar is a compulsive liar, his motivations for this behavior change every time he's forced to talk about it. Sometimes he wants to enforce quality control in the fandom, sometimes he's just a sadistic little shit because he thinks admitting that means anything, and sometimes he's a troll who wants to poke people for a laugh. This constantly shifting motivation reveals Aguilar's actual motivations. He's a petty and vindictive little bastard, taking out his anger on other people and projecting his insecurities onto everyone around.
I'm 6'2", Lily.
Sir, I'm pretty sure that's a figure of speech.
Anywho, the point is, the motivations change because the story has changed. Sometimes a story is, hey, I sure hope Spicy Demon is alive. And if you'd like to find out more about that, here's the following How Not to Bronies to look into. And as the story grew and evolved, the story got uglier and uglier, and I reacted accordingly. One of my main adversaries right now can tell you I'm in a long way off from telling you everything about Toon Critic. Or your fanboy Efren. Here, take a look at the title of this video. The idea that I can't keep my mouth shut has merit. It's also when I like to play it for laughs. There's a healthy dose of truth to it. There's also a lot of things that the audience doesn't get to hear about. Hell, the Hard Rock Cafe for Keyframe. I'm still not sure if I'm allowed to say why we celebrated, and until Keyframe taps me on the shoulder and says green light, or it becomes too blatantly obvious to the public knowledge, I'm gonna keep kicking the can down the road. Which, by the way, I'm fine with doing.
It was in March of 2016 when Aguilar began this series of unending public tantrums with the release of How Not to Brony, a video wherein Aguilar spent 2.5 minutes sending passive-aggressive messages to everyone.
Dear Lily, the first How Not to Brony I scripted in front of the majority of these people in the video, who clapped and who encouraged me to keep going. Here, let's grab a clip. Number 1, bragging about drinking all your friends under the table. You cheeky bastard. I mean, minus the person at the end who was happy to just keep whining on Tumblr. I wonder who that was. It's almost like for a year now, you could have nipped this in the bud, and you're annoyed now that doing nothing did nothing. I.e. how KP turned a small issue in a room and allowed it to flourish, to grow, to fester.
Basic idea would continue for the next several months, with Aguilar growing ever more vindictive as he threatened people, spewed out racial and homophobic slurs like they were candy, and in one particular display of vindictiveness referred to another person as a burden on society, a mentally impaired, cross-eyed prom night dumpster baby ass, and a botched living abortion.
So, to give context, for a while back, my former friend Ryan Reno Mills did a video where he called out Mandy Chan for her tacky, shitty behavior of dumping her boyfriend publicly. Later on, I found out through Pastel Pros, who told me that Mandy Chan dumped AJ because she got in a fight with Pastel, lost, and thought if she dumped AJ, Pastel would leave her alone. Mandy Chan is a horrible person. Lily thinks if you're trans or mentally impaired or on the Tumblr spectrum in any way, shape, or form, you are beyond reproach. If you disagree with her, you're a Nazi. Here, take a look. Despite the fact that Lily is quite wittier than me, half of my heritage is Mexican. And the fact she later on calls Brony a Nazi, despite being part black, I nor anyone else agrees with everything that comes out of Brony's mouth. Alternatively, here's Dr. Wolf working with Brony Buck. With your so-called Nazi, Lily. Later on in Lily's video, she talks about people enabling me, and how they're just as bad as me. So by Lily's logic, Dr. Wolf is a Nazi sympathizer. I myself hate Dr. Wolf just because he's a cheapskate. But we'll get to that point later.
This man seriously needs a beating from some very large women.
I'm sure your girlfriend, i.e. your not wife, will be thrilled to know that you're a chubby chaser.
Work is little more than brigading, where he drums up a small but violent community in the hopes they'll harass his targets with downvotes and abusive comments, and sitting around in a big circle jerk where they all pretend to be oh so amused by what they perceive as their enemies.
And unlike Toon Critic's room, Lily Peet doesn't have anyone from mine. I do have Riley Miller and British Ninja from Lily Peet's room. Truth is, and this hurts, to say my room is literally drowning in cinnamon rolls, which is part of the reason why Shelly D, Vita, and Event Horizon said kiss my ass and left. Lily acts like I live on Cutthroat Island. I wish. Rosie Sievers and Aino Hisenshi sit in limbo these days and make schmoopy whoopy talk, and I wonder what have I done wrong with my life. You know what? I like Lily Peet's version better. We drink beers, we watch monster truck rallies, and we pray to Keck. You're my new PR person, Lily.
First question, how the fuck does something like this go unabated for nearly 2 years? Well, for one, we have to factor in that Aguilar's a complete nobody in the eyes of the larger community. Most of his behavior goes completely unnoticed by the majority of the audience. But it's no surprise that the rest of the creators have certainly taken notice of his ongoing meltdowns. Toon Critic, Golden Fox, Lightning Bliss, Keyframe, and many others have been on podcasts and live streams with Aguilar in the past. His behavior certainly had to have crossed their minds at some point. I mean, if a single piece of unsourced artwork catches their attention and also gets their panties in a twist, certainly this has to, right? Right?
This is why Lily Peet keeps losing these fights for the last 2 years. 1. I've been the person giving the praise to the content creators in the community. It's almost like fan art, a crown, something I might add. You added to your old OC. I'm sure it was just a coincidence it was on the necklace. Even if we don't factor you, there are a lot of fans who don't know how to fan. Oh wait, I have a show to prove it. Sometimes it's people asking the wrong question, like AJ bringing up past relationships for cheap clicks, which by the way, what Lily doesn't bring up is, I let the editor have the platform to take the piss out of AJ for doing that crap to him, which was back in How Not to Brony here. There's also the other thought here, Lily. I'm the only person who asked the analysis community to give you a shot. I've also done this with the Looney Turtle. If you wanted to suggest I ripped off that episode of South Park where it was pointed out that people would go in the opposite direction of the KKK as some master CD plan of mine, if that me endorsing you made it less appealing for people to want to give you a chance, Lily? Well, I'll let you figure out if that's true or not. You know what? Who knows?
They just haven't bothered to do anything about it, and through inaction, they have condoned his behavior. Let's find out why. Well, first we have to get into the way in which Aguilar continues to justify his own actions to himself, and by extension everyone around him. Aguilar is a big fan of the moral high ground, a fallacious argument that proposes that one is right because one is more moral. I've derided it in the past for being a lazy and ineffective foo strategy for people who are extremely bad at the whole being right concept. Let's explain why. Putting aside the fact that morality is a nebulous social construct, merely having the high ground isn't much of a claim. You could have the high ground by being an unsullied virtuous innocent, or simply not being as terrible as mathematically possible. It's possible to have the moral high ground over someone and still be in the wrong, and this is a—
I think she got you there.
No doubt, the moral high ground is half said in jest. Let's make this super simple. Donald Trump didn't have to win the election by proving he was nice or competent. He just had to be a wee bit better than the person he was running against. And I'm not saying that Lily Peet couldn't be a better person than me. De Wilstonator, Tyandega, Finn, Calpain the Head Editor of Molestia, Sean Halwell, Keyframe, Golden Fox, Grey Silverman, Dog-Eye Crimson, Persian Poetess, just to name a few, are all better people than I am. One more time, Manga Kama, despite doing things at times, is a better person than me. If your big takeaway, to some extent for however long, I've gotten over by saying I'm a better person than you, I mean, numbers don't lie. For views and retention, forget lolcow, Lily, you're a cash cow. You're my cash cow. You're a bigger shit bomb than KP. And that's coming from someone who likes your content. This comes from someone who, when they hear the vast majority of the rumors about you, assume most of them are fabricated. And Brittney is going to have something to say about that. This is Painted Patience. She's a fan. I pinched her off of I Know Senshi. I think they're still friends.
Yes.
Yeah. Riley Miller's come from Pete's camp, and he hasn't taken any bullshit. Oh, here, I'll announce it to the room. They'll probably... This is the person who has all the dirt on Lily. Also, Toon, it sounds like a cute girl. Not that you care. But I'm just saying. Oh, there's Riley.
I was like, is my girl?
Because I'm attacking!
I hate to burst body's bubble, but I am very gay.
Oh, okay.
Sweet, I can't lose. I'm kidding.
Wait. Yeah, no. Catstar is gay. I could, if you're single, I could hook you up with somebody. Lilac is polyamorous, and I forget what the fuck. What? I almost called her Tumblr fluent. My bad. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Tunes at Wizard World, apparently.
Tunes at Wizard World for the weekend, I believe. Yeah, I used to go to Wizard World all the time. Yeah, it's about that time. It's the end of August. That sounds about right. So, what wonderful, fantastic stories do you have for us today?
Oh, God.
I mean,
Okay,
we could just BS if you're just, like, feeling, like, nervous or what have you.
No, it's... Honestly, just watching her downfall in real time has been rather entertaining. Okay, is anybody in the room familiar at all with any of the RBI stuff she did? Way before she came out.
Oh, the Ruby
way before
stuff?
she started doing pony videos.
Are you referring to... When you... RBI, like the Ruby stuff, like the Rooster Teeth.
No, I'm talking about when she was doing that kind of zero punctuation style.
Okay, I vaguely know stuff about that. Like, that's a little bit before my time. But I kind of know what you're talking about, but go on.
I was featured in her comics back in the day.
Okay.
I'm that Brittney.
Oh, well, I'd probably have to talk to Oki if he's even still vaguely around. Trying to think who else would even know Lily from back then. Was this pre-Scorcher?
Yes, this was before she ever became a part of the pony fandom. This is back when she hated the show.
I don't think too much has changed.
Hated the show, eh?
Yes, hated. Hard to believe. Can't imagine. Are you okay?
Yeah, I just woke up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were sniffling. I was like, oh, if you're going through a difficult time, I'm really sorry.
No, I just woke up and that's...
Kiki, yayo.
Yo! Tackle hugs you!
As you can see, that Limbo is a den of sin, and we have nothing but badasses in here. Everything horrible that you heard is true.
Where would you like me to start?
You know what? Just for the hell of it, like, tell us when it didn't suck. Like, tell
When
us.
it didn't
Yeah,
suck.
yeah. When
Well-
when Lily didn't go completely batshit. I've heard stories from this from like Jim Fear that once upon a time ago, Lily was okay.
Yeah, she used to be a total sweetheart. Like when we first met, we met through YouTube. I was a fan, and I got into her back when she was doing Rather Vocalized Illusion, and I had sent her a message about an idea for a video. The video never got made, but we ended up talking on Skype and becoming really close friends. And I believe, other than her local friend, which I'm not going to name because he's no longer a part of this in any way, shape, or form, I was the first person in her little, or what would become her little internet circle. And it ended up being me, her local friend, and Blake Diamond, who did a video about her after the whole Josh Scorcher thing. And yeah, I mean, in the early days, we were super close. I met her while I was in high school, so I probably ended up believing a lot of shit that I shouldn't have, just because I was young and stupid. And I think she took advantage of that. And one of the red flags I should have been more aware of was the fact that her parents were convinced that I didn't exist. Because apparently she had done that before, where she had made up people that didn't exist. And they did not believe that I existed until she got me in a video chat on her TV one day. And I met her mother. And shortly after that, I met Tara, quote unquote.
I don't.
And
Yeah, go ahead.
you haven't read about the whole Tara fiasco? 'Cause that's something that's easily Googled.
Okay. Well, Tara's not Pinky Posh, is she?
No.
See, I've had people that name drop these names, but I actually, believe it or not, do not have like an archive of like
Okay,
such and
so...
yeah. No, I know, like, yeah. Go ahead.
Alrighty then. Well, Tara was, according to Lily, a local friend that lived up the road from her or whatever else, and they lived together for a little bit after she got kicked out of her parents' house. And Tara was this, is probably going to get a little too risque for YouTube, but Tara was a hypersexual, screw anything that moved type of person.
Nymphomaniac.
And yeah, she started to get predatorial toward me and toward Blake Diamond, where she was just egging us on for, sexual contact and all this other stuff. Well, long story short, Tara never existed. Period.
Oh boy.
Tara as a person does not exist. And toward the end of her quote-unquote existence, some of the craziest stories that Lily had told me about her was that she had a sister that she was supposedly in a relationship with, and said sister tried to travel from, I believe, Colorado to Canada, where Tara was, and froze to death on the way there. Tara also supposedly had a brother who she was also in a sexual relationship with, who died in the army. Tara also supposedly had a sexual relationship with Lily, who was going by the identity of asexual at the time, which didn't make any damn sense, because you have a hypersexual nymphomaniac and an asexual person in a relationship. Like,
No,
how's that supposed to...
We've heard this story before. It's very similar to the Doodle Tones one, but go on.
Yeah. So that was a thing that happened. And the way Lily... apparently Tara was a sock puppet account the whole time. It was an account for Lily to be sexually predatorial toward me and Blake and Lord knows who else.
Well, how old were you at the time?
I know I was over 18. I was of age.
Yeah. Sorry that my mind went right to the worst case scenario, but I was like, oh boy, how bad is this?
Yeah, we met when I was 16, but the Tara thing didn't start getting really bad until after I turned 18. But no, so the way Lily kind of got rid of her sock puppet for good was she told everybody, or at least she told me, I don't know who else she told, that apparently Tara had been arrested for sexual assault of a minor, and for having a bunch of child pornography on her computer, and that she had gotten arrested and thrown in some Canadian federal prison, and nobody would ever hear from her again.
And this wasn't told in any kind of joking, kind of like, haha, I rouged you guys, or any bullshit like that.
No, to this day, Lily has never admitted that Tara was fake. Like, they had a joint Tumblr account together where they give people advice. She credited Tara as the director in some of her old videos. She kept Tara going for quite a while. Nobody could figure out whether or not Tara actually existed because the excuse they gave was that she was very camera shy. There was only like 2 pictures going around of quote-unquote her, and they've been debunked as having come off of Google Image. Nobody had ever heard her voice, me included. Nobody had ever seen her on camera. But there were times when Lily and I would be vid-chatting, and she would try to keep the facade going by pretending to talk to somebody behind the camera, like trying to convince her to come in front of the camera and all this other stuff.
Oh, so it was someone who was allegedly living with Lily.
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, Lily was allegedly living with her. But no, Tara never existed, and that was interesting to finally find out for sure.
Yeah, I'd heard about, like, made-up people before, but I didn't realize that. I just thought it was like, oh, it's like freaking Noah Antweiler pretending to argue with his dog on Twitter. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cute and funny, I suppose. I didn't realize it was that screwed up, so.
No, Tara was... By all accounts, Tara was an actual person who was actually involved in a major way with Lily's old videos and Lily's old group. I don't know if her TV Tropes page is still up, but Tara used to be one of the official characters. Like, she showed up in comics, she had her own Tumblr, she had a joint Tumblr with Lily way before she came out. She talked to Lily's friends on Skype, she was credited in videos. Like, Lily took this very, very far.
Do you feel that
disturbing.
Do you feel it was a con job or a mental disturbance?
I don't know. Honestly, I think it's a little bit of both. Because, like I said, this was before she came out as trans. So I'm thinking maybe in a way Tara was her way of trying to convey parts of herself that she couldn't before.
Mm-hmm.
But she did it in such a twisted... Like, I've never read Lily's fanfictions, but I've heard enough about them. With the incest and the sexual violence and all this other stuff. Tara was basically that.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
I've never seen those fan fictions. Truth be told, I haven't looked for them. I've been out of the fan fiction circle for a while. Oh, hi Siri. This is Siri. We're talking to one of Lily Peet's ex-fans with lots and lots of ancient, but yet still very topical and juicy what have you.
Hi Sarah. Hello. Hello.
Was, like, when did things go? Was that, like, when you cut off Lily, or what?
No, I didn't find out for sure that Tara didn't exist until after I'd already cut her off. I mean, I'd had my suspicions for the longest time, but I didn't have any solid proof one way or the other. So I just kind of let it go. Lily and I didn't lose touch until we had our final fight. Give me just 1 second here. I gotta...
Oh, by the way, how would you like to be, like, labeled on the video? Just, like, ex-friend of Lily Peet Speaks, or...
You can just go ahead and call me Brittney.
Brittney it is.
Because I know there are still some fans of her old work floating around. But yeah, our final fight, it was this dumbest thing. We got into a fight over World of Warcraft. And I don't even play World of Warcraft. And it was just kind of an apex of everything else that we'd been fighting about and not getting along about up to that point. But I had just gotten out of a super abusive local relationship, and I was recovering from that, and I had expressed to Lily that I had an interest in getting into World of Warcraft. And the computer I had at the time wouldn't run it. So I was like, okay, well, just tell me a little bit about the game and the lore while I save up to buy a better computer. And she started getting really, really pushy and just wanting me to download it right then. And she got more insulting with it and started calling me stupid because of how I play and all this other crap. And finally I was just, I just logged off, quit talking to her for a little bit, logged back in, and I was going to bring all this up to her. in a civil setting. I was like, look, I've been noticing some things about your behavior that's bothering me. Can we sit down and talk about this? And she told me she had to get off and go to bed soon. And I was like, okay, well, let's just postpone it when we both got more time, because I didn't want a time limit on this. And she freaked out, started getting pushy, started saying that we needed to do it right then and there and all this other stuff. I didn't feel like dealing with her, so I logged off. About a week and a half later, I logged back in, and she sent me a barrage of super pushy messages, which I still have screenshots of, but they're on my laptop.
No, I understand that. Those are private messages. Would be against YouTube's terms of service.
Yeah, I figured. But basically, she was giving me a time limit as to when I was expected to come crawling back and beg her to be my friend again, all the while insulting the fact that I have an anxiety disorder and the fact that I'm pagan, and basically trying to blame the fact that I didn't want to talk to her right then on those two things. And when she insulted my mental issues and my spiritual beliefs, I just lost it on her. Sent her a really long message, essentially telling her to fuck off and calling her out for everything. And I told her, if you want me in my life, you can come find me. And she never came and found me, which is fine with me, because at this point I really don't want her back in my life. But kind of switching topics a little bit, what I mentioned in that YouTube comment about, the transition that I got to watch, she's pretty much become the person that she absolutely hated when I first met her. When I first met her, she was identifying as a cisgender male. She was highly transphobic to the point where she pissed off the Tumblr trans community a number of times. She didn't believe in gender identity. She barely believed in mental health issues, even though she's clearly got more than a few. Basically, she was one of the biggest cynical assholes you will ever meet in your life.
Sounds about right.
That's I think what Jim Fear referred to as it used to be cool.
Yeah.
Used to be a red pill.
She could have easily gone red pill, but I wouldn't say she was quite that far yet.
Well, from as the legend goes, Pete ran into Pinkie Posh, and that's all she wrote. Or you're saying that there was baggage there way beforehand?
I actually don't remember what happened between her and Pinkie Posh, but yeah, I think Pete had baggage even before I met her, because apparently she had problems with her dad and problems with her brother and just family problems at home, on top of supposedly going through the fact that she was transgender and refusing to deal with it and all this other stuff. But yeah, everything you see of Lily today is the exact opposite of what she used to be, or like the opposite extreme. Because before, she would try to debunk all of this. She'd try and debunk transgenderism. She tried to debunk her being transgender. She tried to debunk anything related to gender identity. She tried to debunk anything related to sexuality. Yeah, basically she was a cynic. She had a really dark sense of humor. She enjoyed South Park. She defended Trey and Matt in one of her oldest videos. And she hated MLP. Like, she got into MLP because she did a review video of it as a half joke. And she ripped it apart in said video. And then she found out she liked it. And she started doing more of she dropped RVI, started doing more of the pony review videos. And right before we lost touch was right around the time Glass of Water started taking off. And I noticed the more attention she got from the Brony community and from the more extreme left Tumblr communities, the more her video personality became her actual personality. Because she had a personality in her videos, and she had a personality when she was just talking to people. Personality talking to people used to be really sweet, compassionate, supportive. I mean, she was a good person. Her video personality was the cynical asshole. But those two didn't start intersecting until she started getting more following. And then it became just talking to people, she was a fucking asshole. But I just can't help but wonder if she even believes in the identity she currently has, or if she just keeps it around because she's got an internet mob now that'll feed her attention and praise and keep her safe from any and all criticism. Because the way she treated Josh Scorcher when that whole thing came out. That's what me and Blake and her other friend had been dealing with for months. I'd just been waiting on it to come out in a more public light. Because if I knew if I started making comments and whatnot about what I'd had to put up with her, very few people would believe me.
I could think of a channel where they'll believe you. I thought it was spoke for itself.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't kept up with any of the pony scene in quite a while.
Mikasa Sukasa, you're fine to be here.
Huh?
Mikasa Sukasa means my house is your house.
Thank you.
Certainly.
No, the only thing I've been keeping up with is Lily's channel because I'm watching her spread her assholery to the general population and just kind of sitting back and laughing at it. So anything else in particular you'd like to know?
That was a lot. That was plenty, unless you can think of anything off the top of your head. You said you're out of the loop. I guess I'll hit stop record at this point since we'll just chill and hang.